Hello, and welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for September of 2023. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas, and I'm in San Francisco, California.
Let's take a look at what's happening this month. And by the way, Leo, if you missed your birthday reading this year, it's not too late to benefit from a reading of your solar return birthday chart. It tells you all about the year to come and how to handle it for the best results. You'll find a link for it in the description below. Well, Juno is in your sign. Yay. She spends the month in Leo all month until mid-October, actually. And Juno is an asteroid goddess to do with committed relationship. When she shows up in your first house, you can occur as so marriageable, so partnerable. And it's really good for your social life too, in general, even if you already are partnered. And if you are partnered during a transit like this one, you might want to go out and be seen and show off and just be in a golden couple with the partner that you have. And if you can have an occasion to like host or go to a large event where you can be seen together and you feel proud of the couple that you are a part of, then this can be such a wonderful, affirming transit. And it's really great the way Juno's hanging out with Venus too, because as Julia will tell you very shortly, that Venus there in the first house is going to enhance your attractiveness as well. And if you're not partnered and you're looking, this is an especially good transit for that activity as well. I want to talk about Ceres next, and here she is in your third house. She's been in and out of the third house for much of the time this year. It's really not her favorite place to be because she is a goddess of all things physical, food, body, money, the stuff that connects us to the physical world and how we take care of ourselves for longevity and health. But the third house is a domain of things very cerebral. And so Ceres in the third house has a way of sometimes abstracting things that really should be encountered in a more concrete way. And so this is kind of a classic time for getting great ideas for how to eat or making a fantastic spreadsheet for your budget and then just not following through at all. And so if you do get great ideas for how to run your finances or how to have a meal plan, a cooking and eating plan, or planning your garden or something like that, while Ceres is in the third house, I think what you really need to do is just make sure to put those plans into practice. And mid-month, however, September 15th, let me just do this. Mid-month, September 15th, we will see Ceres is boom, moving right there into Scorpio. There she is. So she's changing signs, going to move on over into your fourth house. And the fourth house is the house of home and family, heritage, roots, your domestic life, the whole domestic sphere. And Ceres in this house is great, especially if you are in a parenting mode. Ceres likes to support your parenting by helping you get organized around the house, by helping you set up good, healthy routines and rhythms for all family members to be eating, good quality meals and good timing, getting good sleep, keeping things in order. And so Ceres passing along through your fourth house is pretty great. And she'll be there for at least another month to come, probably too. And then the last thing I want to talk about is Jupiter. Jupiter is everybody's friend. Jupiter brings growth and expansion, confidence, a really fun-loving and can-do attitude. And Jupiter this year is spending his time in your 10th house. So Jupiter brings luck and opportunity by making you feel confident and competent in whatever area he's passing through. And so it's easier to notice the opportunities, act on them, and make them really happen whenever you have Jupiter in the house. I mean, you got to look for the opportunities in the house where Jupiter is, because that's where your luck is this year. So the 10th house is the domain of career. And this is like one of people's all-time favorite Jupiter passages. Jupiter will be in this house for about a year, advantaging you in your career, enhancing your reputation, making you feel a certain quality of restlessness that says, I'm ready for a little headroom. I want to grow. I want to get bigger in my career and in my reputation there. And so if you're feeling that restless way and your assessment is that the job that you're in right now or the business that you're running right now doesn't have room for you to expand, then you might look elsewhere and you might even find something really plummy. And that can be great. And you might also find that you're looking for room to expand and that you do find some room to expand right where you are. So this can be a really great transit for recommending yourself to the higher ups for some form of promotion or expansion of your benefits. Hey, Julia, what's up with Venus, Mercury, and Mars for the Leos of the world?
Hey there, Leo. I'm going to start with Venus because Jamie mentioned Venus also being in your first house as well. Now, Venus is the planet that rules relationships. She's the planet of beauty. She's also the planet of peace and diplomacy. And Venus starts the month retrograde. And this has been going on for a few weeks. And very, very early on in the month, on September 3rd, she'll finally go direct. So for the very, very beginning of the month, the first couple of days while Venus is still retrograde in the first, probably not a good time to make a radical change to your appearance. The first house being the house of self, the house that rules your physical body, because Venus retrograde means that you might want a do-over. If you decide to go from brunette to blonde, you might have to go back to the hairdresser to fix some things. So I would just sort of say, hold off until later in the month if you want to, do things to beautify your appearance, because on September 3rd, when Venus goes direct, it'll take a little bit of time, a week or two, for her to really gain speed. By the end of the month, she will be moving rather quickly. And that's a fabulous time to plan those appointments. It's a good time to go shopping, buy clothes that look good on you, to get a tattoo, to get a facial, all that stuff. Because Venus is adding beauty to your physical appearance through this transit. Venus in the first house is also a wonderful time for dating too. Like very early on while she's retrograde, maybe it's a good time for dating, but not a good time for making firm commitments right away, unless you're getting back to somebody who you've dated before. Then that could actually be a really good use of the Venus retrograde the first couple of days of the month. But for the rest of the month too, after the 3rd, really nice time to date, because you're going to be looking good. You're going to be a little bit more charming, a little more stylish, a little more elegant. Also a great time for headshots, Leo. Next, Mercury is also going to go direct this month, which is really good news. He starts the month retrograde in your second house, which means there's going to be some review in your financial life. Any of your budgeting, financial strategies, communications over money might be a little squirrely for the first half of the month while Mercury is retrograde. If you're buying and selling stuff, which are also represented by Mercury, let's say you're trying to sell your car, I'd wait until after this Mercury retrograde, because you might go back on that decision. You might realize it wasn't such a good idea after all. Now on the 6th, Mercury is going to conjoin the sun while retrograde. We call that Lesser Epiphany Day, and it's a time of insights and revelations. So in your second house, you could have some insights into better financial strategies. Or maybe you get an insight into, oh, wait, I don't want to sell my car, or, oh my God, I actually have to buy a new car. Then by September 15th, Mercury goes direct. Give it about a week after that for Mercury to catch up in speed in the sky. And then the whole cycle is over, which is going to feel great. Finally, Mars. Mars is probably, definitely a little trickier than Venus or Mercury. Mars is a planet of anger, planet of passion. It also, wherever Mars is where you're very driven this month. So Mars spends the whole month in your 3rd house. Now, I'll tell you the hard side of the this first. The third house represents your siblings, neighborhood, neighbors, local community. It's a house of writing and learning too. And the hard part of this transit is sometimes it means you run into frustrations with your siblings. Maybe you guys are getting competitive with one another. This can be because the third is your neighbors. It could be kind of a keeping up with the Joneses transit where you're feeling really competitive, or your neighbor's getting competitive, or they're complaining about a tree where just only part of the root is on your property, or something like that. And there might also be frustrations with your commute, since this is the house of short journeys. So that can definitely be the harder part of this transit. Now, the higher side of this transit is you could feel very driven to write, very driven to learn new things. If you have a writing project, you could get a lot of work done. If you could do something athletic with your siblings, if you could or do something very active together, that could really help this transit out. Like maybe go over to your parents' house and help them mow the lawn, or do something kind of active with your siblings. That could really, make this Mars in the third house a lot easier. And Mars in the third house can be great for you just getting active around your neighborhood. That might mean going for jogs around your neighborhood, or, long walks with the dog. That can also be a lovely time for that too.
Hi, Jamie here. Horoscopes and moon videos are fascinating, but they're also not personalized for you. That's why we run live workshops monthly where you can get answers about your own chart. This month's topic is optimizing Mercury retrograde for writers, managers, and learners. Mercury retrogrades are notorious for making a mess of your office, your paperwork, your projects, and your brain. But it doesn't have to be that way. In this workshop, I'll explain how to handle this difficult transit just in time for back to school. This workshop is expressly for our Demigod Patreon subscribers who pay only $15 a month for access to live events like this one. It's easy to sign up at the Patreon link in the description below. I'd love to see you there. Now let's get back to the video. Well, I've got a couple of moons that I want to tell you about, starting with the new moon in Virgo landing right here in your second house. Now, new moons are classically times for beginning stuff, planting seeds, and you may not see exactly what is going to come of it right away, but that can unfold over time. But you do have to plant the seed in order to grow something from it. We're calling this one Seeds of Selfless Service. It places Sun and Moon together in very hardworking and humble Virgo, opposite across the way from Neptune in Pisces, which is about spiritual service. And so this is a blend of spiritual service, meaning like compassion and empathy and caring for all living things, opposite to and balancing with the very useful and practical, everyday, hardworking Virgoan style physical service. So you are going to want to do both. The fact that this moon lands in your second house does suggest that something here can have financial or health repercussions for you. This could be a really great time for starting something new in the realm of how you take care of your physical self, such as starting a new way of eating, a new food plan, grow some herbs in your, in a pot in your kitchen so that you can cook with them, a little gardening, or a little bit of attention on your finances, your budget. So planting those kinds of seeds, and they can develop into something pretty great over time. And then the next moon I want to tell you about is coming up on the 29th. This is a full moon in Aries, and it lands in your 9th house right here. Where is that? September 29th. Yes, the full moon in Aries right there, opposite to the sun here in Libra. Now, this is a moon with plenty of stress in it. There's a square to Vesta, and we're calling this one the sacred fire of self-care. It has a lot to do with finding a balance between what you want and what you might feel impulsively pulled to do if you're not thinking, balanced against what other people want, what other people need, and how you can make yourself sweeter and more relatable. And then wrapping all of that up into a general theme of self-care, per this Vesta in Cancer. And finding ways to balance all of those things that are good and healthy and can promote good relationships, but also promote yourself. So this one has an interesting extra layer of fire and air because that moon lands in your 9th house, which makes it a very adventurous moon. And you might even really feel like you impulsively want to get out there and have some kind of adventure, but not really be thinking about it very clearly. And so sort of go off half-cocked. Meanwhile, there might be somebody in your life, maybe a partner who would like to go on that adventure with you, but maybe would like to think it through a little bit more, or maybe keep it local. So some kind of balancing act may be called for. And I think that you could end up with a pretty great adventure and a pretty great companion for that adventure. And it can end up being something that's well balanced instead of kind of hasty and loopy. Now then, the last thing I want to tell you about is the seasonal change, which happens on the 23rd. And of course, every month the sun changes signs. It starts out the month in Virgo right here in your 2nd house. And wherever the sun goes, we want to bring the sunlight of our high quality attention so that things can thrive and flourish, because wherever you place your attention, things can grow. And the sun has been passing along through your 2nd house for 30 days, as it does every year around this time. And so this means that your attention is really well spent on your finances, the managing of your money, paying attention to the ways that you can be secure and grounded in life financially and physically, and that you're eating in good ways and have a good relationship with your body. Now, all of those things are good to pay attention to while the sun is in the 2nd house. And then when the sun moves into the 3rd house, the emphasis shifts to 3rd house matters, which Julia described a bit when she was talking about Mars. This is the house of your neighborhood, your immediate environment, and the people within it that you have maybe everyday light, superficial conversations with, but you do see those people frequently, and it's important to be able to get along with them. And so while the sun is passing along through the 3rd house, and this is really just a general character trait of the end of this month, because at the beginning of the month, we had lots of activity in the 1st house, lots of energy and attention on self and looking good and relating and being charming. And as the month goes on, the emphasis shifts to the 2nd house, which is where you're, doing a lot of thinking and a lot of figuring and spreadsheets and analysis and so forth, especially in the financial realm. And then at the end of the month, we have the emphasis on the 3rd house, which is much more cerebral. And so it's more about communication, ideas, and also a really great 30-day period for learning something. If there's something that you wanted to research, cram your brain full of ideas around, or start up some interesting, stimulating conversations, no better time than the 30 days after September 23rd, while the sun is passing along through your 3rd house. And for making good connections with neighbors too, just to make home a little bit more pleasant.
Well, that's all we have for you today. If you love Pandora Astrology's free and informative horoscopes, then please do hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share these videos with your friends.
You can find out so much more about how this month's transits affect you in very personal timing in our monthly Patreon workshops. Find the link in the description below to get started. Enjoy the equinox, and until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos.
Bye-bye.